Caribou Jean.
Caribou Jean?
Does that mean anything to you?
Great Scotland Yard! That's extraordinary.
What is?
Worthington's ever half-price sale on bowler hats. Really, Thompson? This is hardly the time. Great Scotland Yard! What is it? Cane's a half-price too?
Are you going to take charge of this evidence?
Once we finished shooting the volume, we had the film cut together in about a month after we finished in the volume. What's been happening all this time is animation, and now we go back into a standard animated movie. The 2 years that it takes other companies to fully animate their films. And action.
No, this isn't that. I mean the other cellar.
Unlike a live-action film, here our camera work doesn't really involve the lighting. What the cinematographer, that part of their job, will really do in post-production. You know, I'll be reviewing the cut with Stephen, we'll be going through the lighting design, and we'll start doing this lighting Bible.
I can see the crossbow. Where's the eagle?
And with Weta, they had to steady my shots, and they had to basically use my shots as templates, but then they would redo the shots, matching what I had done in a very crude handheld way with very smooth crane and dolly or handheld shots.
From there, it breaks down almost like pre-production of a traditional film. We have set decorators, we have set dressing, we have texture, which is equivalent of painting, plastering scenes, and we start building up what's needed to do each of those scenes.
Action.
What is it about this ship? Why has it attracted so much attention? What secrets do you hold?
Tintin's apartment is a great example where we are doing everything all at once. So while we're building the basic form of the apartment, including the stairs that lead up from the front entranceway, you're getting all that geography mapped out and getting those dimensions. And a lot of those dimensions have already been defined for us because they had that staircase built on the motion capture stage. So they have capture of the performers walking up and down those stairs. So our stairs are a rebuild of that, but they have to match those proportions exactly, so the footfalls are in the same place. But at the same time, we're building all the props and all the furniture, and his kitchen is full of stuff, and all the items that he's got in his living room that he's collected on previous adventures, his typewriter to signify that he's a journalist, all those things. So we've got a team of people working on that.
If something has been captured on the stage with a mocap prop, say a bottle, that would typically just be an artifact, just so the actors have got something to respond to.
Up to quick drink, real quick drink, and then think.
We then research what the appropriate bottle would be, find an actual example. We've got a graphics designer who will produce the label, and we'll make a finished prop, which will then be photographed and measured, in some cases scanned, and that information goes to the modelling department.
Bingo! Just the necessities, of course.
What we did to bring the scenes alive, to make them feel realistic, is to look at what Herge did, go back to the sources that he drew from. He was working very much in a journalistic kind of style. And we would take that same idea and then try to build them out as 3D sets to be able to move the camera through them, to be able to have our characters play through them. So it gave us a grounding in realism that we felt was important to the film.
There is a huge variety of different environments, which is common for all the Tintin stories. We start off in Tintin's town, we've got the city environment there. The Caribou Jean is in its way an environment all by itself, that ship. At the end of the story, we're in Bagar with the palace and the town, which is another urban type environment.
Captain, don't look now, but we're being followed.
But we've also got these natural environments. We've got the ocean, we've got the desert, and those natural environments can be as difficult, if not more so, than the built environments because the natural world is particularly complex. So we're looking at water simulations for the ocean.
Put your hands in the air.
And as the characters walk through the sand in the desert, we're going to have to come up with a solution for having their feet move the sand around.
Stop! Captain! It's just a mirage! Stop! Captain!
There's a process of evolution when you're dealing with performance capture data to get it into an animated character.
We have the motion edit process.
She's got the wind behind her. Look at the pace she's setting.
Even though we have the motion of an actor, we don't have cloth, hair, perspiration, all the details that make this character much more real.
Barely a day out of Barbados.
All that has to be built. The wardrobe has to be built, fabrics have to be chosen.
Our wardrobe process was very much like our art direction process. We built costumes that fit the style of the body types of each of the characters. They had to be designed specifically so that they would flow and fall away and work as the characters were walking, that you had the right amount of drape to the trousers or the right amount of drape to the coat. So all those ideas, the kinds of textiles, the kinds of cloth, all had to be considered when we were making the wardrobe.
A giant rat of Sumatra!
Particularly the actor's ability to give a performance is the first step for us.
Rather you kept your trousers on if it's all the same to you.
I know your game. You're one of them.
But then from there, in a very animated way, we have to go through and sculpt it and just make it feel right on the character itself.
So you thought you could sneak in behind me and catch me with my trousers down, huh?
Because the performance capture data tends to be very subtle, it's based on real human motion. A lot of the subtleties that you see with real humans will get lost when you're translating it to an animated character.
I'm Tintin, by the way.
Haddock. Archibald Haddock.
So what we do is we look for those caricatured elements of the design. What is it about Tintin that makes him unique? What is it about Captain Haddock that makes him unique? And try to find those traits and exaggerate those.
What do you know of the unicorn?
Not a lot.
Especially on the face, that make that character come alive on the screen.
It's been passed down from generation to generation. My granddaddy himself, with his dying breath, told me the tale.
What we have to do is keep the performance,
We can't turn back. Not now.
but we have to make it work on this slightly caricatured face that looks very real, but you cannot put as a still image Jamie Bell and Tintin up together and say, oh, look, that's the same person. But the performance, you can.
Who? Who are you talking about?
We were able to take the intent, the choices that the actors had made,
I'm trying to tell you that your life is in danger.
and then turn those into big character moments through what our animators were able to add on top of the process.
Who? Mrs. Finch! A man's been shot on our doorstep!
The animation work spread out basically with facial, body, and purely sort of snowy and prop animation. And then it's up to the sort of animation department to stitch those together and do little final tweaks.
Well, the Weta Digital team for Tintin started off small with about a handful of people, maybe 5 or 6 to get started. And now that we're finishing the film, there's about 900 people working on it.
You're doing fine! Now, pour the bottle into the tank!
I remember when I first heard that every frame of this movie amounted to about 4 to 5 hours per frame by each artist. And if there's 24 frames per second, you begin to get an idea of just how much effort goes into creating these movies.
You get a much quicker result when you're making a live action movie. But when you're making animation, you have to be patient. You've got to wait. But just like making a live action movie with effect shots, the same thrill is there when your editor brings in effect shots you've never seen before. You go to the screening room, you put them up on the big screen, and you look at them.
It was all put together, rendered, and they were magnificent. I said, Stephen, this is incredible. And to this day, as I sit there with you, I don't know how they did it. It was just amazing with those big ships and the action scenes. It was big stuff.
I've never really shot a 3D movie before, but this was relatively easy because there was no 3D process on the stage itself. You can do it very methodically later after you've done your first cut. Then I sat down with the people at Weta, and I was able to, with my glasses on, make determinations about how dense, how dimensional the 3D should be, or how shallow the 3D should be.
We look at footage, we comment, Stephen gives notes, they go back, they do changes, they put it up, we look at it again. It may be a performance, the camera angle, a lighting pass, the color palette. Then it's the integration of all of those. I mean, it's endless. And Steven's become extraordinary at it.
Incoming Falcon at 4 o'clock!
It's really fascinating seeing Steven's sense of composition and blocking and montage in an animated form. This is the Steven Spielberg film, and it looks like one, even though it looks like nothing else he's ever done before.
Excuse me, pardon me, sorry.
Because it's so him, and yet it's also so Herge at the same time. So it sort of seems like the perfect collaboration.
Hang on, Tintin!